I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is I Was 8. My personal journal storytelling podcast about growing up in the small prairie town of Waukau, Saskatchewan, Canada. All of these stories are true, only some of the names have been changed. We all know the great slogan about real estate: location, location, location.
I Was 8, The Lost Episodes. Number 9, The Treehouse.
Suddenly, I needed a treehouse. No kid in town had a treehouse. Mine would be the first. Dad, I need a treehouse. Treehouse? What kind of treehouse? Well, I am so glad you asked, because I have put together a small, albeit rudimentary, blueprint of sorts. You'll see the main lodge, including kitchen, is accessed from the ground by a rope, whereas the second bedroom is upstairs, if you will, on this upper branch. The third branch includes an enclosed recreation area. What, no bathroom? Oh, yeah. Well, I thought I could just take a leak off the side. Yeah, well, where are you going to get the lumber? Why, Dad, come on. The lumber yard, of course. And who's going to pay for it? Wait a minute. Are you telling me the lumber yard is a store? Of course it is. So it's not just some big yard full of free lumber? Well, I feel their name grossly misrepresents their operation. I will be penning a terse missive to the Better Business Bureau voicing my displeasure. A lot of things that I wanted when I was 8 was because someone else got them first. Rolly Messner got a scooter. Can I get a scooter? No, use your bike. Gord got a chess set. Can I get a chess set? No, play checkers. Rudy Dombrowski got glasses. Can I get glasses? No, squint. But the treehouse, I was going to be the first. For a change, I would be the envy of every other kid in town. Rolly, Gord, Rudy, all the kids. They were going to be the ones going to their parents saying, Larry got a treehouse. Can I get a treehouse? Of course, they would not get a treehouse. Mine would be the official town treehouse. It would become the social and cultural hub of Waukau Kids Society. Table for two, do you have reservations? Well, sorry, we're booked up well into June. The treehouse idea didn't just come out of the blue. I'm sure some kid on TV had one. TV, where all the good ideas come from. Mainly, though, recently at our local movie house, the Gem Theater, was the film The Swiss Family Robinson.
They were flung ashore on a strange lost island, the team with 1,000 perilous dangers.
Long story, blah, blah, blah. But the family is marooned on an island, and they build these houses in the trees, and it was all so cool.
The world is full of nice, ordinary little people who live in nice, ordinary little houses on the ground. But didn't you ever dream of having a house up in a treetop?
They were all connected by ropes and rope ladders and branches and vines. Spectacular.
Here in Walt Disney's production of Swiss Family Robinson is all the excitement you could ever wish for in a motion picture.
From that moment on, I wanted to live in the trees, in my own house. A tree house. The building materials, i.e. lumber, well, that was going to be a problem. Who knew wood cost money? Dad and I made a deal. He was good at carpentry, so he said he would start saving some of the wood pieces for my treehouse. And if I could collect some old wood pieces around town, maybe one day he could help me nail something together. Well, this was better than nothing. I scaled down my plans for a 2-bedroom loft with den to any platform of wood that would allow me to sit in a tree and call it a house. This wasn't going to be Swiss Family Robinson, more like Cheap Family Fedoruk. But still, treehouse. Next issue, the tree. I had my eye on a few possibilities. Best one was a huge maple tree across the street from school near the Catholic church. A close second, this big tree behind the bank downtown. Dad said I wasn't allowed to just build a treehouse on any tree anywhere I wanted. It had to be a tree on our own property. I'm telling you, these grown-ups just keep throwing up roadblocks everywhere. Stupid laws. Government. However, that only made me more determined. Our yard had one tree, our tree, right at the back lane. I'd never really studied it before, but I went out and looked it over. All right, I wish it was a bigger tree, but it's big enough for some sort of treehouse. Maybe I'll just water it every day, and it'll be really big by summer vacation. Either way, it'll have to do. Now I had to gather wood. I became obsessed with wood. I walked all the back lanes in town to see if anybody was throwing out any kind of wood, any bit of board, piece of plywood, a length of lumber, a tidbit of timber. It was hauled home by me and stacked near the garage. Dad threw on a couple of ends of 2x4 on there. I was getting quite the stockpile. The only problem was none of the pieces were very big. I'm sure they'd all be useful once the treehouse was up, but I needed big pieces. I needed foundation-size pieces, and those were impossible to find. I even contemplated sneaking into the lumber yard when no one was looking. Surely they wouldn't miss a few planks. There was a big problem with that. That would be stealing. Well, I didn't care about that. The bigger issue was the size of the planks. I could never get them home by myself. And I could not ask any of my friends to help because the treehouse project was to be a secret. My treehouse plans were totally confidential, just Dad. Until, of course, it was finished. Only then would I tell everyone about it, and they would all come over and play. I tried praying for lumber, especially in church, when I sat in those fine wooden pews, staring at them, coveting them. Oh, man, a couple of these pews would make a boss treehouse. Our Father, who art in heaven, give us this day our daily wood. Praise the Lord, and my prayers were answered within days. Our stove broke down. Some old guy came to the house with a box of tools. He and Dad had some whiskey. And he told Dad that by the time he fixed everything that needed to be fixed, Dad would be better off just getting a new stove. We got a new stove. Came into town on a special truck from the stove store in the city. A couple of guys came over to help Dad unpack it and set it up in the kitchen. Then they had some whiskey. I immediately had my eye on the big cardboard box. That'll make an excellent fort. Quickly, I set it up in the backyard, spent hours in there. By the time I came out, the truck and the men were all gone. Dad was inside, using the new stove to heat up some pork and beans for dinner. Oh, man, this was a good day. A new fort, pork and beans with dinner. I'm living the dream. Just then, I noticed this big thing leaning up against the garage. It was a big square of boards, nailed and stapled together, like maybe about 4 feet by 4 feet. And there was a couple of boards running across each way. Dad, what's that? Well, that's the crate. The stove came on. I ran out to inspect it. This was solid. I told Dad, hey, that's the floor for my treehouse. We can use that as a framework. We don't have to build it because it's already built. Then we can use some of the smaller pieces and put it over for a floor. Dad, can I have it, please? Can I have it, please? Can I have it? Sure. Dad told me that maybe on the weekend he'd have a look at getting that thing up in the tree for me. Normally, that would be one of those things that Dad said and then instantly forgot about until I reminded him. But to my surprise, on Friday night, he said to me, hey, tomorrow morning, let's get that treehouse started for you. All right, Dad. I barely slept. This might be a good time to pause and remind you that yes, all of these stories are absolutely true. This is what happened the next day. As Dad and I surveyed the tree, Dad pointed out that our only somewhat mature tree only had one real solid branch that would support the platform for the treehouse. You can't just balance the stove crate on that one branch. Yeah, what if you nailed it? No. The really big nails? No. What about glue and duct tape? No. Oh man, the dream was fading. I'd hoped to be playing up in my treehouse by lunch. Now this. As I mentioned, our tree was at the back of our property by the back lane. Next to it was an old outhouse. Now, though this happened a long time ago, it wasn't that long ago. We had indoor plumbing. The outhouse was simply a part of the original property, and it never got torn down. As a matter of fact, I recall many times Mom asking Dad, "When are you going to tear down that eyesore and fill in the hole?" "One of these days," that's what he would always say. Well, thank goodness one of those days never came, because as Dad eyeballed it, he said, "I'll bet one end of the crate can rest on the branch and the other end can rest on the peak of the roof of the outhouse." So I'll have a treehouse on an outhouse? It's the only way. Okay, let's do it. Dad hauled the crate up there. Sure enough, it fit nicely. Dad didn't need no tape measure. He could eyeball it. He knew it would fit. I'm telling you, Dad was nowhere as holy as Jesus. But I'll bet when it comes to carpentry, he could learn a couple things from my old man. He got some big nails and nailed one end to the tree branch and the other end to the roof of the outdoor toilet. I got some of my wood scraps, and there were enough bigger pieces to fashion into a bit of a floor. "There you go," he said. "Hey, what about the walls and the roof?" "Well, those will have to wait for another day." "Okay, now I need a rope hanging off the branch so I can get up there." "We don't have any rope. Besides, can you even climb a rope?" "No. But how do I get up there?" "Same way I did," Dad said. "You get the ladder from the garage. You put it up on the side of the outhouse. You climb onto the roof, then onto your treehouse. And don't fall." "Right, don't fall. Okay, got it." And off he went.
The world is full of nice, ordinary little people who live in nice, ordinary little houses on the ground. But didn't you ever dream of having a house up on a treetop?
I had a treehouse. Well, I had a platform on the roof of an outdoor toilet with one end nailed to a tree branch, but treehouse, yay! I could see forever from up there. After all, this was Saskatchewan. So this wasn't the Swiss Family Robinson mega complex I had hoped for. There was no second bedroom. There was no den. Although technically, I did have a downstairs bathroom. I had a treehouse. Oh, my friends were going to be so jealous. Right after lunch, I biked over to Philip's house. News like this was too exciting to share over the phone. "Philip, you got to come over. I got the coolest thing. You'll never guess." "Scooter?" "No." "Chess set?" "No." "New glasses?" "No, shut up. Come over." We raced back to my house, dropping our bikes as we ran in the backyard. I pointed up to the tree. "What? What is it?" "It's my tree house." "Looks like a tree floor." "Well, it's not finished. But let's get up there and play. Most of it is on your outhouse. Where's the rope?" "No rope, no rope. You have to use the ladder to climb up the side of the outhouse." "Well, we sat up there. It stinks up here." "No, it doesn't. No one has used that outhouse for years." "I don't care. It still stinks. This is a crappy treehouse. I'm going home." "Idiot." I stayed up there enjoying the view. It did kind of smell. Or maybe Philip just put that idea into my head. Oh, you know who'd love my treehouse? My friend Richard. I ran into the house and called,
"Hey, Richard, you want to come over and play? I have a treehouse." "The one on top of your outhouse?" "What?" "Yeah, Philip already called. No thanks."
Word spread pretty quickly. No one wanted to come over and play up there. Turns out a 4x4 piece of stove crating, partially perched upon an old outdoor toilet, did not become the kids' social and cultural hub of the town. Not my fault I couldn't use the tree by the bank. That would have been so much better. The walls and roof never did get built, and as time went on, I went up there less and less. After a couple of months, Mom and Dad announced we would be building a new garage on the side of our house so that the old garage at the back would be torn down. The guys Dad hired to level it would also be taking down the old outhouse and filling in the hole. The day they started work, one of them asked, "What's that on top of the outhouse?" "Oh, that's my son's treehouse." "Your kid had a treehouse over a shithole?" "Shut up." As they tore it down, I couldn't help but thinking that now, all of a sudden, I had all this great old wood that would have made an excellent treehouse. But gone was the very structure I needed to help support my treehouse. Kind of like my own gift of the Magi, isn't it? Well,
I Was 8 is a weekly storytelling podcast written, produced, and voiced by Larry Fedoruk. A new episode every Thursday on all major platforms or Larry's I Was 8 YouTube channel. Tell a friend about his podcast and reach out to Larry Fedoruk, that's Fedoruk, at larryfedoruk37@gmail.com.
But didn't you ever dream of having a house up on a treetop?